Now you're responsible for it when the bell rings in round one. Now you're responsible for all of it. So if once it gets tough, now you're responsible for hanging in there. You got to fight your way through it. Whether you win or lose, your manhood is responsible for backing itself up now. So my question is, okay, Berlanga is saying this right now. 6-round KO. Canelo's not in front of him. Are you gonna go and repeat this now and stay with this fight week when Canelo's sitting right there? Are you gonna do that? Because now you have to.
It is time for Boxing Scene's top stories only on ProBox TV, your boxing channel. I am George DeMatteis, and don't forget to download the app for the full ProBox TV experience where apps are available. Well, I am joined by the champions in the house. We got Chris Algieri and we got Paulie Malignaggi joining us here on Top Stories. Well, Edgar Berlanga channeled his inner Tony Montana by saying, "The eyes don't lie, Chico," and he feels confident he can knock out Canelo Alvarez by the 6th round in their September 14th bout in Vegas. He says, quote, "This is gladiator-ish, and I'm going to do the same to him. I'm going to go out on my shield, and he better go out on his." That's more Leonidas than Tony Montana. And Hall of Fame matchmaker Brad Goodman of Top Rank told Boxing Scene this past Monday, "Everybody obviously thinks it's a complete mismatch, but I'm in the minority. If he goes in there believing he can win this fight and shows Canelo no respect, I think it's going to be much, much more competitive fight than what people think." Goodman also crediting the reuniting of Berlanga with trainer Mark Ferrate as a big reason for his confidence in Berlanga. All right, Paulie, what do you make of Goodman's thoughts on Berlanga's chances versus Canelo?
It's interesting. Listen, I do think that Ferrate is a good match with Berlanga. Is somebody he was already with and familiar with from earlier in his career. They have that chemistry together, and you can see the last one or two performances with Ferrate have sort of returned Berlanga to a certain level of performance. Nonetheless, there's still question marks. First of all, mentally, this is a different kind of fight because it's such a major magnitude of a fight, and then it's also the biggest name and probably the best opponent Berlanga has fought. Even if it's a past his prime Canelo, I don't think there's an opponent on Berlanga's resume right now that still can be compared to even a past his prime Canelo Alvarez. So there are things there. Now, as far as talking, is Berlanga believing this, or is he trying to show that he's showing no fear, but is he trying too hard? Because to say you're going to knock out a guy in the 6th round who's never been stopped before, and is obviously a future Hall of Famer, but has also never been stopped, for me, also can be like, okay, you're trying too hard to sell it. You can sell it in different ways. You can say, I'm going to punish him. He doesn't get off enough punches. I'm going to keep punishing him. I'm going to keep beating on him, and I'm going to enjoy it. All this stuff. But say you're going to knock him out in 6th round, knock out a guy who hasn't not only never been stopped, hasn't even been down in his losses. And probably hasn't even come close to being down since the Jose Cotto fight where he was wobbled slightly, right? It just, I don't want to say it's like you're trying too hard, but you start to wonder, does he really believe that, or is he just trying to put out something quotable? Because you got to be careful if you're just trying to put out something quotable. Because we saw the first press conference already where Canelo told him, "Come here and make me shut up." Now, I mean, if you tell somebody to shut up and they tell you to come there and make me shut up, in my mind, you have to go there now. You have to go there and smack them or do something, because now you've been sort of pressed to come. I dare you to stand up to what you're actually saying. I dare you to do to what you're actually saying. You're going to make me shut up? Come make me shut up. If you're going to go that far, now you got to commit to it the whole way. I remember when I fought Cotto, I started talking trash in the press conferences. And then, yeah, fight week, I was nervous. Of course, it's my first big fight. I knew the monster I was fighting. But I also said, dude, I got to stay committed to this, which means you got to remember, you got to stay committed to this. Now you're responsible for it when the bell rings in round one. Now you're responsible for all of it. So if once it gets tough, now you're responsible for hanging in there. You got to fight your way through it. Whether you win or lose, your manhood is responsible for backing itself up now. So my question is, okay, Berlanga is saying this right now. 6-round KO. Canelo's not in front of him. Are you gonna go and repeat this now and stay with this fight week when Canelo's sitting right there? Are you gonna do that? Because now you have to. Now you've bought into this. You got to commit to it the whole time, and then you got to make sure nothing breaks you in the fight. Whether you're going to win or lose, nothing breaks you in the fight. You're going to go out there and you're going to go out on your shield. You're going to fight. We know already Canelo fights on his shield. Whether he wins or loses, Canelo's never been stopped. He's never been down. So whether he wins or loses, he's going to go out on that shield, on the shield that he's known for. There's his chin, his reputation. Berlanga, we're still not sure about his reputation. This is the fight where he creates it and he makes it. He's laid down the foundation with his trash talk. But now you can't go back on it. Is he ready for that? That's what you got to ask yourself.
All right, so there's 2 points. I'll talk about the verbal sparring first, and then I'll talk about what Goodman said because I got some ideas about that too. I agree with you, champ. I mean, at this point, he's burned the bridge behind him. He's got to go all in. But the idea here, yeah, scorched earth. Listen, I'm burning everything behind me. There's no way back. I got to go forward. I'm the bad guy now, right? That's Berlanga's stance.
I have no problem with that. I love it, actually.
Agreed.
But you got to make sure you're committed to it fully.
Exactly, and that's that's to your point. But I'm gonna have another point that's it's not a counterpoint at all. It's actually gonna go with you. What if Berlanga is actually talking himself into being that guy? Maybe he's not that guy right now. He's never had to really be this guy before. He's developing, and that's one of the things I always talk about when guys are getting their first big fight. You don't know how you're going to react. No one else around you knows how you're going to react. You're literally not the same guy that's right here. That's the guy that's going to step in that ring. So from now until he steps into that ring, he's going through a process of development. And he may be turning into that guy, and he may trick himself, man. Delusion is a beautiful thing, especially when his work turns out to be true. So he might go in there.
Fighters.
Yeah, we all go through this. Listen, I'm the baddest man on the planet. When you get in shape, you really feel it. You might not be, but if I feel it and then I go out there and I do it, I am. And that's why he's saying, if he wins, he's going back to Puerto Rico, he's going to be a king. All these different things. Yeah, he's right, but you got to go out there and do it. Now, in terms of what Goodman was saying, I actually agree. I think that Berlanga, with his size, his use, and his ability to start fast in fights, which he did 16 first-round KOs, Canelo Alvarez starts slow, and he's throwing less and less punches the older he gets. There's going to be opportunities early on where if Berlanga fights without fear, and he goes right after Canelo and has an idea that I got nothing to lose here, we might have some interesting moments early on. And the fight could be way more entertaining than people think. I don't think Edgar is going to go out there and just lay down. I think he's actually going to fight and go out on a shield the way he's saying. And we know how Canelo is going to respond. So this could be a lot more interesting fight than maybe a lot of people are saying. And that's why I agree with Goodman's saying that, yeah, everyone thinks this is going to be a walkover, but maybe not.
Champ, it's funny you say that about the talking yourself into the fight. Mm-hmm. I always felt personally myself that I had to sort of hold myself accountable. If I started talking trash and I took it there, now I have to be accountable. Like, I can't turn back on it. I needed to pump myself up. And I found myself fighting best with guys who would react to it, guys who would, argue back with me. So now I'm accountable. If it wasn't a bad trash talking, I didn't typically have great performances. Maybe only in the Zab fight, but I had to get myself angry, but also that anger had forced me to become accountable because a lot of times my opponent will react to it. So maybe Berlanga's looking for this. He's trying to find ways to hold himself more accountable because you're already accountable just by taking the fight. But now you know what you've said. You know what you've been talking about going in. Now you know you're accountable. Otherwise, you're gonna return looking bad. You gotta hold your up your end of the bargain. And I think Berlanga seems like he's done that in terms of trying to talk himself into this fight, making sure that he's now accountable for this because now he knows I can't turn back. Like you said, I've burned every bridge. Now the only thing I can do is fight. But also that's a statement that from someone who's in that underdog position. No one's expecting much from you. If you put the onus on yourself, exactly like you're saying, it can have an effect. This is a big part of this game. So being able to play those mind games and getting to play psychologically, that can have a big effect.
Yeah, let us know what you think in the comments there with about what Berlanga said referring to Canelo Alvarez. By the way, early line on sportsbetting.ag has Canelo as the favorite, minus 1,500, Berlanga plus 750. And the over-under, Berlanga talking about knocking him out in the 6th round, the over-under is 8.5 rounds. So if you put money on Berlanga and he comes through, he could be a rich man. We will see what happens. Of course, we'll keep you updated with the Canelo-Berlanga situation here on Top Stories. And don't forget to scan the QR code and download the app where apps are available for the best live fight series in all of boxing. September 11th, another edition of Wednesday Night Fights here on ProBox TV. This is Boxing Scene's Top Stories.
Wednesday Night Fights.
Dynamite action on Wednesday Night Fights every other Wednesday on your boxing channel.
Coming up on your next Wednesday Night Fights, September 11th, rising Guatemalan star Lester Martinez puts his O on the line against fellow undefeated warrior Joe Showtime James. Live from the ProBox Event Center in Plant City. Get your tickets at proboxtv.com or take your chances at the door. Wednesday Night Fights.
For more ProBox TV, scan the QR code on the screen or go to the App Store and Google Play. ProBox TV, your boxing channel.